Good afternoon, everybody. Is it even afternoon in California? Yeah, it is. 1 o'clock. Hey now, you're an all-star. What's up? What's up? I am immediately taking a nap as soon as I am done with this meeting. Nah, it's watching the market. I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker dealer, and a member of FINRA SIPC. All of my trades are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. There's the position disclosure. Yeah, I'm really not a nap guy. I almost never nap. But I'm definitely gonna go lie down a little bit after this meeting. Um, I got stopped out of a couple things when I was flying yesterday. Today I put on a new Tesla short after getting stopped out yesterday. Lower. Put on a small arc short. So we'll see. I like that Goldman note on the arc put spread. So I didn't join it exactly, but I did it with some common stock, the ETF, if you will. All right, let's take a look. Really strong day. We're waiting on FedEx to report, but the SPYs finished up over 1%. Big up, big up. Q's up 1.5%. IWM is up 1.2. Oh, FedEx is out already. Gold, we saw an unwinding of the fear trade. Gold down, TLT down, Bitcoin up. And oil, of course, oil down 4% or so. So, I mean, yeah, just an incredibly strong day today. The market gave the technical breakout that we were looking for. So that's what happened. Market gave its technical breakout. Market is incredibly strong. Um, we broke out today on the news of the truce, even though within a couple hours they were firing bombs at each other. And it seems like some of the rhetoric that was coming out during the day today doesn't look like this truce is going to be long lasting to me, but we'll see. We even saw some unverified chatter kind of into the close that there were some drones getting taken out by one side or the other. But it was more of the chatter on Iran saying that um, they're going to be continuing with their nuclear program, combined with some of the chatter from New York Times and CNN saying that we didn't really take it all out. That leads me to believe that this is not going to be a long-lasting truce, but it doesn't matter. The market technicals matter. The market picked out. The incredible thing, synchronizing a little bit today, the incredible thing is that we went up more on the truce than we ever went down on the war itself. That's the really incredible thing. But like I said to her, I think it has everything to do with market dynamics. All of the negative headlines were coming out pre-OPEX when there was $15 billion plus of positive gamma. So bad news would come out, market would try to sell down 0.5% to 1%. It'd be met by $15 billion worth of buying. The selling couldn't overwhelm that. We would snap right back up. But now that we're past OPEX, you are, in the words of Charlie McElligott, a little bit more free to move around the cabin. And the market has been met with generally positive news. And we broke out today. We broke out above key resistance of 605 in the SPYs. We broke out of key resistance of like that 535, 537 area in the Qs. Qs are a hair away from all-time highs, just 540 spot 81 for the QQQ ETF. So they're a hair away from all-time highs. SPY is also very, very close to all-time highs. It seems like that is the next stop. It doesn't seem like anything can stop this market. Every day that passes by, this window of opportunities from a market structure perspective for bears dissipates. So I think if you can't get a negative catalyst within the next couple of days here, once we get to the beginning of July, that first couple of weeks of July, we're going to see so much bullish flow. new money flow. We're expecting vault control to turn back on. That this market is probably not going to stop going up. And if it does, the technicals will give us the signal. So, for the moment, we're focused on these breakout trades because these breakout trades are working. Market broke out today. We were looking at some strong stocks, some stocks that got upgrades or price target increases, like Upstart and Snow was on the list. Reddit was on the list today. Meta was on the list today. Lyft was on the list today, even if it didn't give the best follow through. All this stuff is working. Buying strength is working. Buying AI is working. Buying semiconductors are working, and it'll keep working until it doesn't. And there's no point in trying to be a hero on the top of some of those things. Even if we were a hero a little bit in some circle and some CRWV today, particularly that circle on the break of that 245 level that we had discussed was holding this monster bid pretty much throughout the entirety of the morning and were holding it really, really well. And when they finally broke it here, it was a great add-on to a short. I know I was adding on short pretty heavily right as that was breaking. So that paid pretty well. And then we'll see if CoreWeave circled, they're very different stocks, but you can kind of see them breaking or at least beginning to break at the same time. Um, and that has nothing to do with the fact that they're similar or different stocks. It has everything to do with the fact that this is just recent IPO retail mania that has been ongoing in some of these names that have these lower tradable floats because they haven't hit their lockup expirations. And Circle could pull back to somewhere between 160 and 200 and still be technically healthy and bullish. This was like a I don't remember $23 IPO, $31 IPO, something like that. So just really really incredible moves in some of these names, and it was great that we were able to capture a few of those on the short side within the confines of a market that is otherwise just so tremendously bullish. We look like we're moving higher. Nvidia we also talked about for a long today. That was another one through the 146. I managed to short Tesla's relative weakness today. I'm surprised honestly that this Tesla worked as well as it did. I wasn't planning on trading it. I stopped myself out of my short at 333 yesterday, which was also the long trigger. I wasn't planning on trading it. I don't like trading day twos. I think everyone knows that about me, right? So yesterday was technically a day one. Day twos tend to give you worse risk reward. It's usually not extended enough yet to consider the short. But if you're chasing on the day two, you're getting a bad risk reward and low probability of success because you should have had it from entry. You should have had it from the break of 330, not chasing 355 on the day two. But it showed all that relative weakness in the beginning of the day when the market was still holding in, and I decided to hit some through 350. I got heavier on the retest failure of 350, and then it closed weak. It's continuing to trade lower after hours. So we'll see. Tesla was real retail mania yesterday because the robotaxi event only met expectations. There was nothing surprising about that robotaxi event finally going live in Austin yesterday at all. Just retail mania, and that's kind of what Goldman's note was talking about this morning was the retail mania, right? Tesla, Circle. It mentioned looking at ARC, so that's why I've got a small short in ARC I'm keeping tonight. And that's where we're at. When and where does the retail mania stop? I don't know. I don't know if it can stop while the market's still moving higher. I don't know if it can stop while unemployment is still so low. So you need unemployment to tick up in order for the retail to lose its bid. Because retail, tell you the two things that have been never running bids for this market, everything else seems to come and go. Corporate buybacks and retail. And even corporate buybacks go into a blackout window. Retail's just been non-stop. Trying to think if that's all I got. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. Happy hour tomorrow for my LA people at 33 Taps, I think is where we're doing it, in Silver Lake at 2:30 local time. With that said, they haven't called me back, but I assume at 2:30, if it's like 10 of us, we're not gonna have a problem just finding a spot to hang around. Um, oh, that's a good idea. All right, I think that's all I got, which isn't too much. My brain's tired, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm not in a rush either. From Dave S. I'm once again back into CL due to a combination of this value area that we have fallen back into. The way I have been playing this is by being short puts and short puts at and below the $65 level for CL, which is the crude futures contract. Um, Okay, so the way you've been doing that is by being short puts at and below 65. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, obviously, any resurgence of the Israel-Iran stuff will have oil right back up. Um, Michael Anthony, I drank the Kathy Wood Kool-Aid back around 2020 or so and got burned. I support the short. Yeah, with that said, a lot of the shorts got burned in that period of time too. You know, markets can remain irrational for longer than you can remain solvent. And we certainly saw that in that late 2020, early 2021 bubble, which we here in the VTF, it was almost frustrating because we knew like this was clearly a bubble and this was ridiculous, and you're watching stupid retail money making money hand over foot left and right, and then it all came crashing down. And I think that Kathy Wood's arc has cost investors more losses than any other like actively managed fund that wasn't directly involved in fraud in history, I think. Fact check me on it. Tate, is there any baseline for how quickly Gamma tends to get put back on in the week following OPEX? I know it's hard to measure precisely, but even a rough average would be incredibly useful. I'd also be really interested in seeing how much was on today versus yesterday. It felt like Gamma was still present yesterday, but noticeably absent today. Yeah, I didn't have an answer for you on that. I do think it's a little bit on a case by case basis depending on the situation. Sometimes it turns back on faster than other times. Sometimes it rolls off more than in other times. So I don't even know where we started on Monday. I haven't seen any updated numbers on it. I try to pay attention to those updated numbers whenever I can, but from my limited experience, it seems like by the beginning of the next month, you are back into a very heavily gamma environment, right? So OPEX usually is occurring on a monthly OPEX usually occurring like in the middle of the month, more or less. And then you've got that back half of the month where things can be a little bit looser, just from the perspective of the gamma roll off. And then it's slowly increasing and slowly increasing. And I think by the time you get to the beginning of the next month, a lot of it's back on. So, so I'm saying we got a little bit of a window here, but you still need a downside catalyst to trigger the window because otherwise, there's so much bullish seasonality and money flow that should be coming in July, combined with Gamma will probably be pretty strong again, pretty positive again by the beginning of July. That I almost don't see how it's possible for the market to go down in the first 2 weeks of July, unless something really dramatic happens from a macro perspective, which isn't impossible. I mean, where you could potentially see um, Israel and Iran heat back up. Though obviously that wasn't enough to make a dent in the market the first time around. I don't know why it would be the second time around. You also could see the trade war stuff heat back up. That date is July 9th. I also don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. So I don't see what can actually bring this market down right now until and unless we see a real deterioration of hard economic data. And you know, that might not be till August, September, which then you get into seasonal weakness, which can actually help. So I don't see what can really bring this market down in the beginning of July, outside of something really heating up. So we appear to be full steam ahead. Don't be afraid to take those breakouts. There were a lot of good calls today in the morning meeting about stuff you could have bought for breakouts, and a lot of it worked. What else, guys? Curious if I sound any better in the YouTube and the VTF. I made a small adjustment on my computer, my travel computer here. I don't know if it made it better or not. Sounds good. That's good. What else, guys? Anything else? Anything else anybody needs me to have a look at? What's FedEx doing? Trading down. FedEx trading down. Good. France was good, man. I was just starting to really get in my groove last weekend and starting to really enjoy it. They do that as a second year in a row. I think they do it for the summer solstice, where they do this sick like citywide music party. It's so much fun. Just live music everywhere you turn throughout the entirety of the city. Second year in a row that I was there for that. It was just really really cool. Though I don't know if there was a lot of these headlines coming out that some people were getting like stabbed by needles or something at it. Like 100 people got stabbed by needles. It's crazy. Eli, just curious, if we open flat, would you be less convinced to look for shorts? Yes. Yes. I would to look for shorts tomorrow, I would really want an up open for two reasons. One is that the up open gives you a gap, and I think that gaps are great structurally for trading. Um, because whenever we have a large gap, right? Like that was the thing with this morning's gap, and today we were incredibly strong. But whenever you have a large gap, you have to have some degree of correction come into the market. So even if the market big picture looks like higher, a lot of times on a very large gap up, you can find yourself some sort of a scalpy short. Whether that short gives you a full gap fill or it gives you a correction to the ADMA or something like that, you can usually find a trade to the short side. Whether that's off of the opening high on the first 5 minute bar, or sometimes you get like an opening squeeze that creates an upside pivot, so the market gets even more extended, and then it goes into its kind of corrective process. And we actually called out a short at 9:45 today off the tail off that concept, and all it gave you was a very shallow pullback because we were incredibly strong today, but it actually still gave you a trade that more or less worked. You got a technical correction into the ADMA. So one is putting the daily chart aside for a second, which you should really never do. One is you get the small time frame trade off the extension. Two is if we can get a gap up, we maybe not so much for the spies, and tomorrow would really kind of only be a day two, but we're getting close to extreme upside extension on the daily chart, at least for the Qs. And that hasn't happened since May, right? Even though this market's been so strong, it hasn't been able to go down. It has not extended up. We haven't seen that $10 upside extension off the ADMA on the daily chart in quite some time. So today we got up to about 541, just under 541. The ADMA on the daily chart's at 540. Is that 532? So at highs today, we were like a little over $1 away from getting to extreme upside extension. So if you got a big gap up tomorrow or a gap up and a quick upside move, you would have the gap on the small time frame to benefit you, and you'd also have the extreme upside extension on the daily chart to come in and benefit you. If you have a flat open tomorrow, you don't have either of those things. So yeah, I generally don't advise being a counter trend trader unless you're in periods of extreme. This is not a period of extreme. The best thing you can be doing for yourself right now is looking for the longs, looking for the breakouts, buying the breakouts at the index level, buying the breakouts in some of those stocks that are in play. That would change if we get to a level of extreme extension, where then maybe you can look for the other side for a shorter term trade. Sometimes a shorter term trade can turn into a bigger trade. But most of the time, you just want to trade in the direction in which things are moving. I would not have short on the brain right now unless we get one of two things. One is we get extreme upside extension, then you can get short in the brain a little bit. Or two is if you actually see a failure of some levels on the downside. I keep saying it. I was saying it in here. I was like, guys, if the market's going to fail, you don't need to be short from 535 to make money. If the market's going to fail, you're going to get a pullback to, at least QQQ 500 if it's really going to fail. You could be short from 520 and have confirmation that the market's breaking through some key levels and capture a big move with a lot less headache than if you're trying to short the strongest stock or strongest market in the world, and we're in just an uptrend with no extension and no nothing. This is a market that we want to be primarily buying. We want to be long in it, and that would change, or we can look for some cute shorts and extreme extension. That can change if the trend breaks. It can change if we lose some big support levels. Hope that helps. On the YouTube, laggard to AR. AR, quite a nice bid. CRK. CRK. Okay, that's a good looking chart. EQT. EQT. Also a good looking chart. Nat gas and oil sector. Yeah, they traded well today with the oil weakness for sure. I agree. Also, I really like TKO setup with a couple tight days. TKO is the owner of UFC, WWE, and some boxing events. This weekend, there's a huge fight in the UFC between Tapuria and Oliveira. Oliveira. Could be record pay-per-views. TKO looks fantastic. It really does. Off of yesterday's low. Chart looks great. Genie with a nice weekly base. Okay. What is this? Is this Genius AI or whatever? No, oh, Genius Sports. Yeah, this looks good. Starts breaking a bit higher here. Getting above like 1030, 1050 area. They specialize in real-time sports data collection analytics for sports books, media companies. They have an extended partnership with the NFL and NCAA. All right. NFL is an 8.7% stake. Thanks for all the color there, Gabriel. Nice. Okay, good to know. All right, so there's a couple charts we can have on our radar for tomorrow. All right, short meeting today. Let's wrap it up. Have a great evening, everybody. I will. Oh, hold on, Rex is sneaking one in. Let's give Rex his due. Wow, what happened to Hims yesterday? Oh, there was news on this, right? With NVO and their drug. That was out yesterday. I took a Hims trade. Uh, Rex, if I read this and you got caught being swinging along this, and then the news hit overnight. All right, let me read it. I took a trade on Hims last Wednesday around 59. Okay. Breakout level 59.60 for sure. I trimmed something that close to 61. And at 64 on Friday's open. I added some on Friday when it went back to 61 because of the relative strength. It closed on highs. Yeah, it looks fantastic. I don't know how you don't swing this. I didn't trim any of the ad. You probably should have trimmed some of the ad. That sounds like it was a little bit too greedy. Yesterday morning after the strike on Iran, I thought the market would have a gap lower, but the market was already green. Yes, it was. The future's down at one point pretty big, but then we were up. I thought him would be very likely to break out, and then the news took him all the way down to low 40s, and I took a big hit there. Do you think I should have trimmed? I do think you should have trimmed more of that ad. I do think that you should have trimmed more on that ad. If you bought in front of 61 and it closed at almost 65 and you didn't take off any of the ad, I think you should have taken off a little bit of the ad. But otherwise, I mean, that's just shit luck, man. I'm sorry. Probably shouldn't say the S word on the radio or on the YouTube, but that's just really bad luck. Really bad luck. I've been there for what it's worth. I've been there. But otherwise, I don't think there's anything you could do. That's a great looking swing too, with the way that closed on Friday. It's a great looking swing above 60. Really good Friday close. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up there. Have a great night, guys. See you tomorrow morning.